We're in Kettering, and welcome to Question Time. And with me here, the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, Esther McVeigh, the Shadow Business Secretary under Ed Miliband, who resigned from the Shadow Cabinet when Jeremy Corbyn was elected leader, Chuka Umunna, the boss of Formula E, the electric car championships, and a former MEP for the Spanish Conservative Party, Alejandro Agag, the head of social media for Vote Leave in the referendum, now the campaign manager for the Taxpayers Alliance, Chloe Westley, and the award-winning rapper, poet, founder of the hip-hop Shakespeare company, Akala. And just a reminder, if you want to get into it, hashtag BBC QT on social media is our hashtag. Let's take our first question tonight from Claire White, please. Claire White.
Would £10,000 for 25-year-olds effectively redress wealth inequality between the generations?
This was a suggestion that came from an organisation called the Resolution Foundation, that every 25-year-old should get £10,000 on their birthday, paid for by various means. Would it redress wealth inequality? Akala, what do you think?
I would frame a policy like this slightly differently. It's about what is the British taxpayer willing to subsidise and what are they not willing to subsidise. For example, in the last 30 years, so across this generation, the British prison population has grown by 82%. It's nothing to do with inequality, it's just because poor people have got innately more criminal. So we're already subsidising a massive underclass. Would a policy like this be effective? Perhaps not. But would a policy that said to people when you get to 18 years of age, there would be, say, interest-free loan available to start up a small business, would a policy like that perhaps be effective in reducing wealth inequality? Perhaps. Are we willing to subsidise people's failure, or are we willing to subsidise their potential success? That is the question we have to ask, because we're already subsidising people to a massive extent. We have the biggest prison population in the whole of Western Europe by quite some distance. So it's about what we are willing to pay for and what we're not willing to pay for.
But a handout of 10 grand... But when you're 25?
I've just said to you, I don't necessarily think the handout of 10 grand will work because, of course, people on the right will say, poor people getting nothing for no reason, and God forbid poor people get anything for no reason. So how about we say money available at no interest to start a small business? This is mainstream liberal capitalism. It stimulates entrepreneurship in the age of the internet. Why wouldn't people on the right go for such a policy?
Chloe Westley.
It is a tough time. It has been a tough time, but if we can support people by giving them the building blocks for life, that is how we're truly going to support people.
OK. You, sir, at the back there.
I agree with you, Esther. We should build on this and build people, but the Tories have not been doing that. They've been cutting mental health services, they've been cutting education budgets. We need to look at the source of the problem.
OK, and the woman there in pink. Yes.
I'm really worried when you say that youth unemployment's come down in that number, Esther, because we know that there is a growing hidden population of our young people who are NEETs. Your civil servants recognise that there are over 480,000 young people who are vulnerable from being hidden from that labour market, and they're not included in those figures.
What do you think of the idea of the 10,000 quid at 25?
The systemic issue we've got with youth unemployment is about our education system, it's about careers education, it's about ensuring that support is there in the early spaces of our young people, and that there are then quality jobs for them to move into. If those things were there in place, then our young people wouldn't... They're not looking for this £10,000. It's not a policy that's come from there.
I was going to say, I find it fascinating that all the talk is jobs, jobs, jobs. In the age of kind of digital entrepreneurship, why are we not encouraging young people to create jobs? There are young people in the music industry, there are young people in all sorts of creative industries that are going online onto YouTube and becoming multi-millionaires. And it seems the two major parties are so far behind, they don't even realise that we're in an age where young people have that kind of...
Of course, Esther is right. It isn't investing in young people, that's taking away from young people, Esther. First of all, ensure that we give young people the skills that they need. And I talked about university. It's not all about university. There's too much snobbery about technical and vocational skills and apprenticeships. We need more of that because that's what employers need. And it's all very well saying that youth unemployment has come down, but what is the nature of that employment? How secure is it? We see more zero-hours contracts than ever before and insecure work. So we want decent, secure work.
And what do you think about 10?
And we don't invest enough
All right,
there.
you, sir, in the second row.
having investment schemes for young people to start entrepreneur businesses or whatever is never going to be a bad thing.
Can I just point out that there are massive taxpayer-backed investment schemes for people who already have money, like SEIS and EIS and those kind of schemes. So those of us who already have a little bit of money have these things. Why do they not exist for young people from the lowest socioeconomic brackets? Many of them might not make the mistakes they're making if they actually had access to capital.
Esther, do you want to answer that particular... Esther McVey says that if he were Prime Minister, he's not Prime Minister, if he were Prime Minister, he'd...
But from my standpoint, Brexit was not really about those technicalities. To me, Brexit was about British nationalism. And I think there's something quite fascinating about a country that was historically an empire, a country that has been one of the largest sources of emigrants in the world. So, for example, we talk a lot about post-war mass migration. In the post-war years, 1.5 million British citizens took state-subsidised migration. 75% of them could not have afforded the journey without the state, to Australia, to Southern Africa, to Canada, to New Zealand. Migration that was not available to those of us who came from the Caribbean. We had to pay our own way, as did the people from India, as did the people from Ghana. So it's fascinating that we've got all this amnesia and all this kind of aggression towards immigrants, that we would vote to leave the union based... Well, the second, okay, according to the Lord Ashcroft poll data, you're saying you respect democracy. According to Lord Ashcroft poll data...
Well, that's not a referendum, is it? That's
so,
a poll.
no, just a second. So, according to the polling data of the people themselves who voted, immigration was cited as the second most important reason for leaving, even though
that's
it was meant...
democracy.
Just a second. Even though, as several scholars pointed out, the EU never controlled our immigration laws. So, if the people... You can't have it both ways, Chloe. Right? If the people themselves voted and you respect that, you've also got to respect that they said their second most important reason was immigration.
And it was very...
But hang on, but hang on, Akala, let's not go into why people voted as they did. What about what's happening now?
No, I've just
what
said,
about what... You say you're not interested in that.
No, I'm not saying I'm not interested in that. You asked me about the customs union. I said I don't have a particular view on the customs union.
So, and do you have a particular view about the way it's being discussed in government? Are you confident in Theresa May's
I'm not confident
approach?
in anything Theresa May does.
Oh.
My inclination is that Brexit, what it will lead to is not independence, but a closer strengthening of the quote-unquote special relationship and an increase of the Anglo-American empire. I notice no one seems to have an issue with the fact that we have American military bases on our soil that we didn't get a vote about.
OK, let's hear from
if
some
we want
members of our
sovereignty,
audience.
why is that not an issue?
Let's hear from some members of our audience. The woman on the...
Been misled by so many people, and Chloe, what you just said was misleading. We didn't vote to leave
Hold on a second.
Millions more people unemployed. That has not happened.
10,000
What we've got to do, what we've got...
Remember, you may not remember, a few years ago, I think it was 2014, but don't hold me to that. Gallup, which is an American polling company, did a global survey, 66 countries, over 100,000 people. So this was not just radical, crazy leftists. And they asked people, which country in the world is the greatest danger to world peace? This was before Trump came into office. 25%, 24% to be precise, responded the United States of America. Yeah? So if people already thought America was the greatest threat to world peace, which by inference means we're part of the threat to world peace.
Sorry, 24%.
24%, but it was the #1 country. Right? It was the #1 country. 24% of all the respondents around the globe already thought that, which by essence puts us in that camp. How much worse has that got for the people around the world now? This was when Obama was leader. So I think the whole question has to be, and it's disgraceful that we don't have more challenge from anyone in our political establishment, bar a couple of radical, crazy leftist people, whether there's any challenge to the role of America's world as the global policeman. Because most of the world do not accept that. And if we're saying we believe in democracy, why are we not supporting international democracy?
Maybe he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. If he can pull it off, who else would have done more for world peace than securing that deal?
Chukwumuna?
Well, the first thing I would say is let's get this in perspective.
Was she right, first of all, before you move on? That if he's got it right, he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize?
Actually, we're pretty big. If he makes it happen, it would be... I'm with Chloe. It would be pretty...
We should have challenged the US more. I didn't agree with the Iraq intervention.
Does the failure of Labour to gain ground in traditional working-class towns, like Dudley and Bolton, suggest that Corbyn mania is dead?
Oh, this is for you. Who quit the front bench when Corbyn became leader. Is Corbyn mania dead as a result of the local election results? We have to be quick.
The phrasing of the question itself is interesting. Traditional working-class towns. Is Hackney not a traditional working-class town? Is Tottenham not a traditional working-class town? Is Moss Side not a traditional working-class town? I just think the phrasing of the question is very
What
interesting.
does the questioner mean by it?
What does the questioner mean by traditional working class towns?
What do you mean by it? Alan, what did you mean?
Traditional working class towns, they tend to vote towards Labour. Now, you look at Dudley, no overall control. Again, Conservatives picked up the UKIP support. Labour, what did they do? Nothing. They didn't gain any councillors. You look at Bolton, the Conservatives picked up seats again. What are Labour doing? Why have they lost 3 seats in Bolton? Why are they not doing more for traditional working class towns, which are supposed to be their base of support?
But that's what I'm saying, define that. Hackney, one of the poorest wards in the country, yeah? Traditional working class town. I'm saying, why have you picked what is the criteria by which you've picked your traditional working class town? I'd like to know. When was Hackney rich? When was Tottenham rich? When was Moss Side rich?
All right, you made the point. Esther.
What we're seeing is a far left. What we're seeing is a momentum. I know it militant from Liverpool in the 1980s. You've got MacDonald, who is his shadow chancellor, who agrees in Marxism. What we're seeing is the unravelling of this very ugly...
Condemn your foreign secretary laughing about dead Libyans.
I would say he has never come out and agreed with Marxism. He has never been anti-Semitic. He has never been a misogynist. And this is what you're seeing now with the unravelling of Corbyn.
All right, that discussion isn't going to go...
Yes or no?
Chloe.
Well, I think
manifesto is a Marxist manifesto. I read it.
The shadow chancellor is a Marxist.
We've got only a few moments left. Who hasn't spoken yet who wants to speak? All right, you haven't spoken. Quickly, if you would, madam.
I don't think Corbyn mania is dead at all. And in response to Chloe's question, I don't believe outside of London don't care about Corbyn's policies. I do. And on that point, a problem we have at the moment, the criminal bar is on strike at the moment.
I did say briefly.
I understand, but...
That's not a pun, by the way.
There is an important point I'm trying to make here. They're on strike because there are record numbers of unrepresented people out there today. When are we going to fix the criminal justice system, Esther McVey?
I'm going to have to stop you. She can't answer because our time's up. I'm sorry about that. Next